Well, good evening to you people all across Guyana, and welcome to another program of Rodney Groundings. I'm your host, Dion Abrams, and as usual, we'll be talking about several issues affecting the people in this country. With me on the program this evening are my usual guests, Brother Desmond Trotman and Sister Africo Selman, and they'll be the people talking mostly about the things affecting you in this country that we need to have changed. Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
We have, numerous things happening. I think one of the major things that we should be concerned about is the current, situation with C.N. Sharma and the Ethnic Relations Commission and the steps being taken somehow to maybe, again, put Sharma under some kind of strain because of a program that was aired. Now, what are your thoughts on the issue?
Some of these jokers who call themselves holders of constitutional offices must understand that people will have a right to address their behavior over time. And if it is that they feel so wronged by what people are saying, they must seek redress in the courts. They cannot use these so-called institutional bodies which have not acted fairly on matters in the past, because I want to raise here, for the benefit of the public, something that was raised in the Chronicle about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, about you, when it is a letter writer wrote an article in the Chronicle, in which it is that she threatened your whole survival, both your life and your livelihood. She threatened that you will be made a martyr. And she also said that it seems as if you no longer wanted to continue in your profession of teaching. And when it is responses were made to that letter, the Chronicle never carried it, but those letters appeared in the Chronicle. The ACB did nothing about it. And Ejel was very pronounced in relation to his silence. And here it is, certain remarks are made on the government television stations that the president goes to Babu John and made some of the most vicious remarks that you can think about. Remarks which are intended to incite racial unrest. And the ERC does nothing. And when it is that Ejel comes under fire for not speaking to this matter, he then comes out with a statement which says that the ERC investigated and we found that the president might have used excessive language, but he didn't preach racial incitement. And even his political masters felt that he had no right to make that statement, because the response from the government was, how dare you? How dare you to make such a comment on the president's remarks? And we do not accept it. And this same Ejel, who's been treated in the worst possible way by his political masters, then moves to invoke their assistance to penalize CNS Sharma and his television station. It cannot be right. Those things are unfair, and the public must not sit by and allow that to happen. Further to that, Dion, there's another aspect of this thing which I find, again, increasingly worrying. The 3 members of the IRO, the interreligious organizations, in response to what Vera had said in his report, also wrote a letter in the papers, in which it is they follow the same line which Ejel took. They also called on the government and the advisory committee on broadcasting to deal with Sharma and his television station condignly. Now I want to say this, and I want to say this without any apology, that when it is that you look at societies in which repression have been the order of the day, the government have always succeeded in recruiting a set of religious leaders who, in coming out in support of government action, in fact, condone the repression which is directed against citizens. Now, I can cite the examples of Germany, Russia, and a host of other countries, including some of those Middle East countries in which it is repression today is the order of the day, and protest is the weapon being used by people to resist those repressive actions. And in a lot of those cases, central to the repression are religious leaders. Now, when it is that those religious leaders said that they are calling on the government to deal condignly with Sharman's television station, we have to be very concerned that they are laying the foundation in this society for serious action to be taken by people who believe that they have a right to protest some of the worst kinds of actions that are being meted out to them. And remember, I want you to realize something, that one or two of these leaders used to pontificate in a period when it is that we were up in arms against what we term the excesses of the PNC. Today, they're apologists for what is taking place by the PPP, and they want us to believe that they're democratically inclined and that their behavior is intended to preserve the fabric of democracy. It is not. Their behavior threatens the fabric of democracy. And what they want to do is to stifle people's criticisms of wrongdoing. Some of these religious leaders must understand that not because they take a position that their position is right, that it makes it right. They have to deal with the perception that people have that their positions are wrong. And that is why people are openly critical of them. And they believe that the way to deal with those things is to stifle the criticism, and to cut off those media houses, CNS 6, HBTV, Channel 9, to cut them off from people who have very strong views on some of these things, and they're doing so in the name of doing what is right. Now, this nonsensical position has to stop.
So, if the government does take action against Sharma, I mean, Sharma has apologized. He's in obvious fear because the government has been going after him for some time. I know that he suffered tremendously the last time when Jack Dio, took the station off the air because he lost a lot of money and all of that. He had to, basically start over with all his programs and so on. And I guess it's that fear in him that has driven him to apologize in this way, to be seeming to be bending over backwards to please Edgel and maybe the advisory committee on broadcasting and so on. But what is the nation going to do if the government does take the position advocated by Edgel that some disciplinary measure should be taken against Sharma? Are we going to sit back again and allow it to pass? Yes, Africa.
Just to say that I have no apologies to make for the statements I made on the 24th of April with respect to Bishop Edgel being very, being very biased and not being impartial. I have no apologies and will not withdraw any statements which I've made. And so that's number one. Two, if the government goes ahead and with their threat of shutting down Sharma, as they have indicated, then Guyanese would have no other choice than to do what Ogun says that they should do if the PPP wins the election. We shouldn't have to wait until after elections, after 2011, to go to the streets. if our rights are being violated, we should go to the streets as early as Monday if Sharma's channel is shut down. Because it would mean, if we don't, that we are allowing the government to stifle our freedom of expression. So that's one. I'm advocating that all Guyanese, Indian Guyanese, Black Guyanese, all Guyanese, go to the street against the excesses of the government. Two, we would take whatever legal actions that are available to us.
Yeah, Brother Trotman.
Yeah, Dion, I want to endorse my sister's comments, because I do believe that it's important for us to understand one thing, that in this election year, and for the longest while actually, we've seen serious threats being directed against the fundamental rights of Guyanese. We have to recognize that. We have to recognize the importance of resisting those attempts. And so I believe it's important for us to understand that if it is that Sharma is threatened, that the government moves against Sharma, or government moves against any other media house, which allows the free expression of people's thoughts, that we should take action. The people must come out on the streets and take action. We cannot allow this situation to be allowed to develop. We cannot allow this to develop. I want to take you back to the 30s, when it is that Adolf Hitler was in control of Germany. And a pastor by the name of Niemöller had cause to make certain comments. He was forced a rabid Nazi. And then over time, he came to understand that his affiliation with the Hitler movement was not in the best interest of the German people. And he said something that was very important. He said, when they criticized the Catholics, I didn't protest because I wasn't one. When they criticized the unions, I didn't protest because I wasn't one. And he identified a number of civic organizations which were criticized by the German government, by the Hitler government, and he never did anything to stand in the defense. And he said, but when they came to criticize me, there was no one left to stand up. And I think that it's important for us to learn these lessons. It is important for us to learn these lessons. We must begin from today to recognize the importance of standing in defense of each other once it is that our liberties are threatened.